Before we get into today's video, I'd like to tell you a little story. So, after Season 4 ended, you may remember Leia and I deciding to start doing videos about topics outside of MLP, and it was really interesting and new. I enjoy being able to talk about new content while not having to worry about when the ponies would start again. But by the time Season 5 was just about to air, I realized just how long it had been since I really thought about MLP that much. And so I was hoping that after seeing the premiere, my interest in MLP would be reinvigorated and everything would be fine. And while the premiere was certainly a good episode, it still didn't quite click for me the way I was expecting. And then Castle Sweet Castle aired, and it was alright, I guess. It was a pretty average episode that didn't do much for me, although there wasn't really that much wrong with it, I guess. At this point, I was starting to get nervous. Was my interest in this show about to die for good? Had MLP just stopped being good for me?
Are you going to stop making stupid movie cliche lines?
I got really confused. But now, after having seen this episode, I just have one thing I'd like to say. Yes! Y-E-S, yes!
Those three things, Spartak!
Things may come and things may go. Some go fast and some go slow. Few things last, that's all I know. But friendship carries on the ages. Oh, carries on.
This episode brings back something I really miss. Luna! Finally, all of the Crusaders have had a Luna dream. I really hope that they get their cutie marks this season. I want this to happen so badly. We have waited 5 seasons to see them get their cutie marks. Just give it to us already! Let the fanfiction rest in peace about this.
Speaking of cutie marks, when I first saw that this episode would be about the CMC worrying about their cutie marks, I got a little worried, because during the first 3 seasons, the plot of CMC try to get their cutie marks through stupid reasons and fail was one of the worst repeated offenders for dumb episodes.
I remember us complaining immensely about this in the last season.
But ever so miraculously, this episode manages to flip that tired cliche right on its head and give us not just my favorite episode this season, but perhaps one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. Yes, folks, we've got one of those on our hands today.
Whose? I think you meant to say whose. If this is your favorite episode, say the proper grammar, man! Now this is a very good episode. It's pretty high on my favorites list. It's not the first though, don't get that idea.
Now, with a title like Bloom and Gloom, we're left with very little to the imagination as to who this episode is about. Today, we've got ourselves an episode about everyone's favorite potion-making side character, Zecora!
I did not expect you to say that! It fits so well, but I didn't expect that!
But seriously, this episode is about Apple Bloom, in case you were actually confused. Let's get started.
So here, we all find out that Babsy has finally gotten her cutie mark. And I have to say, in all honesty, from that first episode that Babs was in, I thought Babs was a guy. I truly thought that Babs was a guy! I can't be the only one, right? Right? So then after that, the CMC realized that if you get a cutie mark that you don't like, what would happen? It's technically impossible, but that's what the episode's based off of, so I was gonna roll with it.
Can you imagine getting stuck with a cutie mark you didn't like? No. Or at least I hadn't. Don't worry, Apple Bloom. Most of your family is apple-related cutie marks. I bet yours will be too. And what's not to like about apples? There's the core, and sour apples, and rotten apples.
You are so helpful, Schooloo. You are such a positive friend!
We see Apple Bloom telling Applejack about how, for all the time that she spent worrying about getting a cutie mark, she never thought about what would happen if she actually got one. Each of the fears she talks about are fears that you genuinely imagine a child in this situation having, or anyone in this situation having, really. Seeing them actually acknowledged here is just the biggest thank you moment they could have.
What if I finally get my cutie mark and I don't like it? What if I get my cutie mark and no pony likes me? What if the Crusaders drift apart? I mean, we won't really be the cutie mark Crusaders anymore.
Thank you!
How is this a thank you? You're watching an adorable character stressing out about her life problems.
I'm not grateful to Apple Bloom for stressing out. I'm grateful to the writers for finally talking about this stuff. These are all legitimate things that the CMC would probably worry about with regards to cutie marks. It's good to see this side of the story acknowledged for once.
I guess that's true. So in this scene, Applejack puts Apple Bloom to bed. She sings this really great song I love so much, and then the madness starts.
For the rest of this episode, we're going to see the nightmares that Apple Bloom has, all of which are related to her fears about her cutie mark. And can I just say how much I love this concept? What makes this so great is that, rather than just taking the easy way out and making Apple Bloom afraid of just one concrete thing, the writers are giving Apple Bloom's conflict the time it really deserves. This is gonna sound stupid, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Fear is like Transformers.
What?
It's more than meets the eye. Oftentimes, what you might think is just one fear is actually the fear of a lot of different things bunched together, even some things that might seem to contradict themselves. And so having multiple nightmares means that we can explore this complex emotion to its fullest.
Deep, man. That's deep. I have to go contemplate the universe.
So, let's dive right into the inner psyche of a cutie mark crusader.
Woo. So here, Apple Bloom Dream freaks out that she got a cutie mark. Too bad it's a dream, but thanks for you. But it's funny to watch. This random old-timey pest pony is now trying to teach Apple Bloom how to use his equipment.
Yes, folks, with this new cutie mark, we can now all officially agree that Apple Bloom is Pest Pony.
Yeah, that was the worst pun ever. Yeah, it was so funny. I don't know.
And the bugs that Apple Bloom has to keep under control are...
You ever hear of Twitter mates?
Oh. You mean those annoying people leaving nasty hate comments on Twitter? Oh yes, please wipe them out. But no, they're actually just electric bugs.
I don't get why Apple Bloom doesn't want to do this. It's a really cool job. But anyway, after trying out her new skills, she wants to tell the pest pony that she doesn't want to go do the job. But he's already in Hawaii, so too late.
Also, for some reason, I really like this Pest Pony character that comes in to show Apple Bloom how to collect bugs. Just when Apple Bloom starts to get comfortable, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon come in and start teasing her about her job in the way that only they can. It makes Apple Bloom upset, so she throws a jar of bugs out in frustration and runs off to the Everfree Forest, where she's greeted by an eerie voice.
This cutie mark sure isn't what I was hoping for.
Why should you have to keep it then? If your cutie mark bothers you so much, get rid of it.
Oh no, don't tell me it's Starlight Glimmer!
Please, for the love of everything, be Starlight Glimmer.
Oh wait, never mind. When the voice takes Apple Bloom's cutie mark, her flank is blank again, and not an equal sign.
My heart.
The voice took away Apple Bloom's cutie mark because she asked it to, and you'd think that removing her cutie mark would take all the worries away, right? No, actually, it only makes the nightmare worse. The second half of this dream is just as important as the first one, because it shows how Apple Bloom is just as afraid of being a blank flank as she is of getting her cutie mark, which is an important side to this story that they could have easily ignored.
So technically, cutie marks are the only solution, even if you don't want them. Get what you get and you don't get upset. Ugh, I sound like a teacher or a parent or something. Ugh.
Apple Bloom returns to Ponyville to find the town being destroyed by Twitter mites. She tries to collect the bugs, but without that cutie mark, she can't do anything but repeatedly get zapped.
And then the stupid puberty voice.
Apple Bloom gets back to her home to find a swarm of Twitter mites blasting the Apple family barn to smithereens. So, for the people back home, that is now 2 houses that the writers on this show have blown up within the course of a few episodes.
Why? Have they started, getting sick, twisted Tim Burton vibes out here on the show?
So Apple Bloom wakes up into the second nightmare of the episode.
So here, Apple Bloom gets an alchemy cutie mark. In the dream, of course. And her friends basically throw her into a ditch. In other words, they ditch her. They throw her out of the clubhouse, they throw her out of the Crusaders, and they aren't friends with her anymore.
Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle have decided that, since Apple Bloom has her cutie mark now, she can't be a cutie mark crusader anymore, since only blank flanks can be crusaders. The voice acting in this scene is some of the best of the episode. They just sound so realistically anxious and tentative, especially with how Sweetie Belle's voice shakes.
Yeah. The thing is...
Apple Bloom finds herself in the Everfree Forest again, where the eerie voice from before greets her once more.
This eerie voice takes away her cutie mark for the second time in a row, and then her friends ditch her again because they got their cutie marks.
You did? What are they? Oh, we don't have time to go into all that.
And I assume that was done so as not to upset the many, many fanfiction writers who have imagined different cutie marks for Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of time in the future for the writers to open that Pandora's box.
Indeed.
Apple Bloom is left to sit and rot in the clubhouse, and with that, the third nightmare begins.
And that that giant chicken in the window is just so dreamlike, it's perfection.
On that note, there are a lot of fun little jokes that the animators put into this episode, thanks to it being a dream. For instance, the breakfast gets sweeter and sweeter every time Apple Bloom enters a new dream. It's not as outwardly surreal as Sweetie Belle's dream was, but it's still fun to watch. On to Dream 3!
So in this scene, Applejack, her hat has a glitch by the way, but anyway, Granny Smith and Big Mac are interrogating Apple Bloom on her dolphin cutie mark. They should have made it a pair, it would have been so much better. And also, this is the most we've ever heard Big Mac and Tosh talk. Although the way they handle it is actually kind of weird. As Big Mac tells Apple Bloom about how they don't have any room for the cutie marks in her family, this voice comes out of both Applejack and Granny Smith as well. It's like they wanted to have Big Mac talk, but not quite talk.
It's a dream, man. Let him dream.
This is probably one of Friendship is Magic's creepier scenes, if only for how quickly the dream spirals into randomness.
Not helping are all of the photographs with Apple Bloom cut out in the background. Applejack opens the door, and Apple Bloom enters the Twilight Zone.
Here, Apple Bloom wakes up and is glad to see that she does not have a cutie mark. And then, this happens. I don't even know how to explain it, so I'm just gonna show it to you.
I never thought I'd be so happy to not get a cutie mark. What the?
Oh no, don't tell me it's the cutie pox again. There is no way I'm going back there. Apple Bloom runs out and finds herself in the forest once more. There, she finds the voice from the previous 2 dream sequences.
Alright, whoever you are. I don't know what spell you went and cast on me, but I want it to stop right now.
I didn't cast a spell on you or any pony else. I only did what you wanted. You didn't want to catch bugs and I helped. You didn't want to lose friends and I helped.
This is one of the strongest lines in the episode. Oftentimes, when someone is afraid of change, the negative voice in their head will claim to be helping them by telling them to dig their heels in and not move. But this only makes the problem worse in the long run. What this episode understands is that the fear of change and the fear of things remaining the same often go hand in hand, which tends to be ignored in stories like this, where the fear is more focused on what would happen once the change occurred. Here, though, we're constantly reminded of the fact that being a blank flank is just as scary as getting a cutie mark.
Apple Bloom figures out that her own shadow is doing this to her, and Princess Luna shows up to make Apple Bloom feel better. Apple Bloom then figures out that the whole CMC are stressed out about their cutie marks too.
What? The scenes with Luna are probably the episode's best. The background music is especially good, and the way that she resolves Apple Bloom's fears ties the episode up so well. Princess Luna tells Apple Bloom that a cutie mark just represents who she is, so no matter what cutie mark she gets, her friends and family will still like her and she won't have any problems with her future.
Which is what I've been saying this whole time.
But that's so simple. I must be the only pony in the universe that's worried about her cutie mark.
And that's the final part of the fear of change. People in general always think they're the only ones to be afraid of the things they're afraid of. Having Princess Luna show Apple Bloom how many other ponies are afraid of the same thing, including her own friends, is just the icing on the cake to an otherwise astoundingly good moral.
I honestly love how Luna is always the one to fix all of the problems in the show, especially since in the past, she was the problem. It's adorable!
Princess Luna brings the CMC together where they talk about what they've learned. They agree to make a care package for Babs so that she wouldn't feel so worried about getting a cutie mark.
And then it ends with a sweet moment with Apple Bloom and her relatives. That was Bloom and Gloom. I really liked this episode. They finally brought Luna back and made her have a really important role once again. I would give this episode 4. It had really good animation and a really great plot. And we get to see a new side of the CMC that we have not seen before. Overall, it's a really good episode.
Despite being a dream, this is probably the most realistic portrayal of a character's fear that I've ever seen on Friendship is Magic. It hits all of the points that it needs to, and leaves no stone unturned. Each of the dream sequences does its own thing, and they all represent questions regarding the CMC and their cutie marks. And the episode just kept topping itself with a new best moment in each dream sequence, up until Luna comes in and steals the whole show. And in fact, not only do I really love this episode, but I think watching it just proves how much nonsense those past CMC episodes were. You had so much potential, and yet you kept wasting it on the same dumb plotline, but this makes up for everything! The animation is great, the music is great, and the moral is one of the show's finest. I'd give this episode 5 failed cutie marks out of 5. And though Luna has visited all 3 of the CMC at this point, I really hope we eventually get to see another dream sequence episode. They really change up the formula, and each time they do it, they find a new creative spin to put on it.
So that was Bloom and Gloom. We'll see you in the next video, and have a nightmareless day. Adios!
A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep.
I brought
brought you friendship. I brought you equality. I created harmony!
In dreams